I mentioned earlier Tom Brady has his job because of his resume. I think that you could say the same certainly about Bill Belichick, regardless of what you think about either of them as analysts. Like they are in those roles because they've won a gajillion Super Bowls. Jason Kelce, which is funny because he has an incredible resume. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He won a Super Bowl. But he's not in this role because of his resume. He's in this role because of his personality and what he's been able to showcase, really since the Eagles won the Super Bowl, but especially in the last few years since him and Travis started the podcast. And that's the best of both worlds. When you have a guy who has the resume and when you have a guy who can be the personality and be the analyst, that's what makes Charles Barkley so great. Is Charles Barkley is that Hall of Fame power forward who also has the best personality, on air, in terms of NBA analysts. And I think Jason Kelce has a real chance to become football's version of that. So yeah, it's not surprising to me at all that he was a natural fit. I think you could have watched that Monday Night Countdown broadcast and you could have thought he was doing this for 20 years now. I almost wonder if the platform is too small for him. I feel like of these three guys that, I've compared this year's NFL media free agency class to the 2010 NBA free agency class with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. And I think that, I think that Jason Kelce wound up with maybe the smallest platform of the other two big three in this with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. I almost wonder if we'll see.
Maybe it's more like that summer when Carlos Boozer went to the Bulls. Maybe
I think
it's
that was
like
the same
that.
summer. I think that was the same
that's
summer.
What I'm saying. That's like he's not even on the big three level compared to those two. He's almost like the other guy who kind of had to settle for the other place,
Yeah, and I think that it's just I think he could do anything in NFL media. I think he could be the centerpiece of a Sunday morning show. I think he could be in the booth. I think he could have his own simulcast, which I think ultimately once Travis retires might be the end game here. So I'm not surprised at all. I think one thing that stood out is there was obviously a viral clip about his shirt not fitting. I think that's what ESPN is looking for here. I think they're looking for one viral clip that Travis Kelce can retweet to his millions of followers, if it's not billions by now. And I think that we'll see one of those each week. But I in terms of him being a football analyst, I think he lived up to the hype and then some.
Agreed 100%. I feel that way about a lot of people. I think that the NFL media, sports media, they overstuff everything about their broadcasts of this league, which I get. There's 53 players on every roster. The league's been around and very, very popular for a very long time. Once people get jobs, they don't really want to leave them. I understand supply and demand here, but we all talk with, inside the NBA, which we've been covering at Awful Announcing a ton for this past year as the Warner Brothers Discovery deal with the NBA collapsed and whatnot of is it possible to recreate that show? Could it be the same on another network? Why has no one else tried to mimic it? Or why does everybody fail to mimic it? And all that stuff kind of on the NBA side. I wonder the same thing on the NFL side. All these shows are on for hours every Sunday morning. And yet sometimes they can feel so congested. And I get it's commercials and everything else, but I don't know if Monday Night Countdown necessarily qualifies for that. But Kelce just has the type of personality that is very much more in that Barkley, Shaq mold than I'm going to come and deliver my 2-minute hit on how the center pulled for this big run, even though he can do that too. I don't know. Maybe we're headed toward, as these podcasts kind of grow and get these people some shine before they ever even step foot in a place like ESPN, maybe we're going to see a little bit of an evolution of the format of these shows. I think we all would hope so, considering those podcasts are much more popular than these shows in 2024. But I had the same feeling he's kind of bursting out of this show. Can we find another way to get him out there in a format that's even better for him? And frankly, Marcus Spears is great. Ryan Clark, honestly, you could say a lot of those same things about him, but I want more. That's kind of it. That takes